Welcome everybody to the Red Cartel podcast. My name is Will Johnson. With me today is my mate Leon McDevitt, MC Devitt. The podcast today, we are going to focus on the Liverpool Wolves match that finished at 2-1 to Liverpool, or 1-2 if you like, at Wolves. And we're going to be talking about the game. Well, my friend Leon is going to be talking about the game, and we're going to talk about some of the talking points and also kind of how things have gone for Liverpool this season already. But so yeah, guys, really looking forward to this podcast. Liverpool obviously top of the table now, which is great for them. Not great for me as an Arsenal fan, but great for them. And yeah, looking like it's really starting to shape up. So Leon, mate, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm all right. Although, funny enough, even though we talked before the podcast and stuff, I've just realised that you wearing your Arsenal shirt has made it really apparent that I'm basically wearing a Wolves shirt.
You are wearing the gold of Wolves, mate.
I support Wolves. But yeah, no, I'm okay. A little bit tired. Can't complain. How about yourself?
Mate, I'm good. It's Monday morning. I don't have work today, so it's always good, mate. It's good to chat for football.
Champion. So the Liverpool Wolves game, the game itself wasn't particularly exciting, but I think that part of Slot's mantra, or like his ethos and way of playing, is more, at least it seems like more control. And so I'm kind of okay with that, in a sense that if it gets us more results, then great. But it does make it a little bit, not quite, but a little bit of a harder watch. Because it's not quite. So when we were playing under Klopp, generally speaking, there was a few seasons where we had a really, really good defence. But generally speaking, our defence wasn't quite as good as our attack, and so we'd be counter press, gegenpressing, high press, high physicality, a lot of output, get the ball back, attack, counter attack, or counter the counter sort of attack. And score a goal based on that. And I know that Klopp used to train our players to gain the ball back within, I can't remember what the seconds were, but like 6 seconds of somebody else getting the ball, and then to score within 10.
Yeah.
And so we had a much faster, fluid attacking style, whereas Slot seems to be making much more control around, instead of defending like how we used to, he's defending by like Man City and like Arsenal do now. Like, have the ball, don't let them attack you, and limit the amount of chances. And I have noticed that we are conceding a lot less of, like, we still concede chances because everybody does, but a load of chances under Klopp were like oh my god, he's going to score, like that. Whereas under Slot, it's like, oh, they've got a chance, but okay, we defended it like that more. Apart from obviously the crazy goal that we actually conceded, where, as I said to you before, everybody decided to play, and I'm sure that people under the age of 30 probably don't even know what this is, but they were playing like stuck in the mud, where like, they were like Canate was like, wait, I'm just waiting here. And then Alisson went, yeah, I'm waiting too. And their defender went, their striker was like, this isn't stuck in the mud, boys. I'm just going to walk and get the ball before it goes out. And then, I mean, calamitous, really. But
yeah, it was calamitous. Like that goal, like it was. I was watching the game. I didn't even realise that they'd scored, because I stopped watching it when the ball basically looked like it was going out of play and the defender had it, and then suddenly I turned back and Wolves were 1-0. So it's a crazy goal to concede.
So perhaps you could say we might have a Rick in us like that. I don't know whether that's a good thing. Like,
I think every club has that.
It's too early. It's too early as well to know. But again, it was just a really solid performance from Gravenberch. He's been like our best player this season, probably, or at least one of them. It was a pretty decent performance from our front line. I mean, Szoboszlai should have scored, and maybe I should make a little bit more of their goalie being pretty good, because we probably could have won. I think a fair score would have been like 3-0. I don't think Wolves threatened, like, because at the end of the game when it was 2-1, I was sat here on my couch thinking, right, it's going to cut. Right, we're going to have to drop a bit here, and they're going to go for it. Like, they're going to And then I heard a stat, which I'm sure will illustrate this. Their striker Huang, who came on, and I was
Yeah.
like, when I saw him coming on, I thought he's got a goal in him. He has. He's nippy. He's fast. They're going to get the ball in and all that. And he had one touch in the first 20 minutes of him being on the pitch. So my criticism or my praise of Liverpool or lack thereof would be more of a criticism of Wolves, that they aren't doing something. They're not quite good or good enough like they were last season. They've had a lot of tough games. In fact, I think Wolves have probably had the hardest opener, bar maybe Ipswich, like opening 6 fixtures. Because Wolves have basically had to play us, Man City, Chelsea,
Arsenal. Yeah, opening game.
So they've had by far the hardest run. Then that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's like.
Yeah. So, what was your? Did you enjoy Canate's goal? I thought it was a nice, powerful header. Good cross.
So he's a bit of a tank, old Canate. And I suppose that's why they scored their goal as well. It's sort of like a blessing and a curse. He's so much of a tank that once he slows down, maybe they don't have a fast acceleration. But once he gets going, he's powerful. And although Van Dijk is taller than him, at least I think so, Canate seems to be, I'll compare it to Arsenal. Van Dijk is our Saliba and Canate is our Gabriel, like that. So, Canate's more of the monster. I don't like that. I just did that. But
he's going to have the battle. Canate, to me, if you're comparing with Gabriel, he's going to have the battle. He's going to have a battle with the striker, whereas Van Dijk's more like, well, I know where the ball's going to go, so I'm just going to get there first. So it's less of a battle. But no, I get what you mean. But it's good to. It was a very good cross by Jota. But it was a bullet header, like an old-fashioned bullet header.
Well, it was one of those situations where I think we just had a corner or a free kick, I can't remember, on the left-hand side. And what happened was Canate and Van Dijk had both stayed up just for the minute or so or 30 seconds of where the corner had been recycled. It went out to Jota. And if you have a look at it, there's too many Liverpool players versus too little Wolverhampton players. And then one of their defenders, it's almost like of course he lost one of them, because you can't be marking everybody. Now, don't get me wrong, that chance happens a lot and people header it over the bar, wide, whatever. Canate seems to be quite good at heading. And I think he's in the top 3 fastest players at Liverpool. So he's pretty useful and he's getting better. So I really like Canate, and it's nice to see him scoring quite a few goals, to be fair. That's a nice return. Defender goals, you don't really count in your head before the season's kicked off. You're like, can we, I don't know if everybody does this, but I always think, can we score 100 goals? And where are they going to come from in the Premier League? That's what I always think. If you score 100 goals, you've got a good chance of winning the league and getting into the top 4. That's what I always think about it.
Yeah, I mean, as an Arsenal fan, I put 25 of those goals on my defence. So Gabriel Calafiore.
Well, like I said to you before, you bought Calafiore. I was gutted when Arsenal got him ahead of Liverpool. He's good, isn't he?
He's very good, mate. He's very good. I'm sure we'll talk about Calafiore in the Arsenal review as well. So 1-1 after that. I would say calamitous moment of the match for Liverpool. Didn't take long though to come back. Jota winning the penalty. Look, I thought it was pretty soft. I used the old, would I be disappointed if Arsenal didn't get that penalty, if that was Havertz getting pulled by the defender? Yeah, it probably would be a bit disappointed. I'd like to have seen it. So it's not controversial. I'm sure it was a pen, but pretty soft. But Salah stepping up and putting that away for you, mate.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's funny because we were talking about some of these things before, and I was like, if Anthony Gordon's one was a penalty, then Jota's one is a penalty. If that's the bar, I agree with you. as much as it's a Liverpool penalty, I don't really want to see penalties given for that sort of stuff. Like, not exactly that, but maybe Jota was clever. Maybe. And with VAR, I thought these like discrepancies were supposed to be like not happening anymore. And now it's like even worse.
Nah, VAR just want to send people off for kicking the ball, mate. That's all they want to do.
Or not give goals that are perfectly legitimate. They're just like, no, we don't like that club. We just won't bother.
I think the high bar for VAR, they're not turning that, like asking that ref to go to the monitor. But yeah, Salah pops up now. What's he on now for goals? Because I had a question for you, Leon, about kind of are Liverpool just kind of relying on him too much to dig you out?
Tough question to answer. My initial response would be to fight you. No, but my real answer is: are we, like, as in actually think about the question properly? Like, are we? Maybe not, because we've got 6 forwards and they're all scoring. However, you could say, are we relying on either Salah or Diaz to win games at the moment? And yeah, I think, well, yes, from the standpoint of you score goals, that wins you games. They're the people scoring for us. Are we relying on Salah? No, I don't think so. I think he's got 5 Premier League goals, and 4 assists. So he's done 9 goal contributions in 6 games. I think that Salah has actually changed role quite a bit this season because of his lack of pace. Like, he's lost a yard or 2 of pace. And I'll tell you why, because there was a moment in that Wolves game, you may not have seen it, where he did his normal, like a double touch. So he took it down with his left foot and immediately touched it forward. And it was a centre-back versus him rather than a full-back. And he gained 3 yards. And then as quickly as he'd gained 3 yards, the defender was back. And old Salah, or like young Salah, would have run and scored.
Yeah.
He would have been away, absolutely away. But he isn't. And so I don't know if we can rely on him because of his lack of pace.
No, I do remember that little bit in the moment, because I love that little move from any player when they just like they start to run, and then with almost like their weaker foot they poke the ball forward so they can just start sprinting. I love it when players do that. I think it's such a good one. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, you mentioned he's got 9 goal contributions so far. Did you say Liverpool have scored 12 goals? So he's been there or thereabouts for 3/4 of your goals this season. So it's a high load.
Diaz has scored 5 and got 1 assist, I want to say. So he's the remaining, but then they assist each other. I know what you're saying. I think we rely on him in a sense that he actually is quite a lot of our production, not just goals, assists as well. And so from that standpoint, yeah, I think we have relied on him even when Klopp took over from like 2015, 2016. But and I'm going to say this controversially, I suppose, but in the same way that Arsenal would have relied on Henry.
You always rely on your best player, right? And he's been your best player for the last 5 or 6 seasons.
I agree. And to be fair, he's been up there in the like top 3 to 5 Premier League players ever since he's been at Liverpool, pretty much after the first season. So, like, yeah, we do rely on him, and probably too much, which is why it'd be interesting to see how Chiesa fits in and rotates with him, because I am noticing that Salah is playing every minute of every game we're ever playing, and it's a bit worrying considering he's older now, and I mean, I'm nearly 40 and I can feel the differences in my body, so he must feel the differences in his body even at that age. Like, it must be different, and you can see it on the pitch. He's not as fast, so it just is. So yes, we're relying on him, maybe not overly so, but we are relying on him, I think.
Yeah. Well, so the win obviously takes you top of the table, or took you top of the table, and then you've stayed top of the table. Because I think, could Villa have usurped you. I think they would have had to have won quite a bit, but because they've conceded a lot of goals. But yeah, top of the table now. Do you think should Liverpool be title favourites? Are expectations changing at Liverpool from the beginning of the season to now?
So, I mean, I'd love to go madcap here and just like celebrate and be like, yeah, we should be the favourites. We're the best team in the league. But realistically, we've played. I actually think we're 1 point below where we should be. I think we should have been unbeaten in our first 6 games. Everybody who listens to this podcast will know my disdain, my laughability, and the running joke of De Ligt and Man United. So I still think we should have beat that. I, funnily enough, think we should have probably drawn this game 1-5 and drawn 1. And like I said to you before, it's more like you can't just keep winning. So there has to be so I think we're 1 point down on where we should actually be, and we're about to come into a crazy difficult period for us, and so, or at least tricky period, and it all depends on. So, has what Slot's done translated to the big clubs? Because we haven't played a big club yet. Well, I mean, I know Man United fans are going to be raging at me saying that, but they're about as good as Crystal Palace.
You haven't played a big club in form, right? Because you're right. Man United might have the name, but they are a very average mid-table side at the moment.
Yeah, well, Man United lose every midfield battle that the game they go into. So, like, I don't want to make this about Man United, but if that's your MO, you're not going to. That's the factory where everything is created. And so it's not like they're just not very good. And so I don't rate the performance. However, it was away at Man United and Slot's first Old Trafford. So I have to give him a bit more credit than I am. Yes, I think Slot is a great manager, a really, really good manager. Maybe not great, actually. Maybe just a really, really good manager. And I'm unsold completely yet. And we'll see how we go moving forward. Should we be title favourites? No. I think Arsenal should be title favourites.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you're right. Liverpool haven't really played anyone, but you've still beaten the teams, or the majority of the teams that have been put in front of you. But for me, I asked the question just purely out of jest because I know your opinions on it, Leon. But yeah, you're top of the table. Like if I'm doing the talk sporty moment here, the pressure's now on Liverpool. If you don't win the league, you're going to have bottled it. So let's keep in mind, clip this up. If Liverpool don't win the league, they've bottled it because they're top of the table. I obviously ingest.
Right. So what I'll say is, people can clip me up saying this, right? Because it's going to be true. Liverpool will definitely 100% finish above Man United, Tottenham, and Chelsea. There you go.
Oh yeah, second. I've got them as second place for me, mate. And that wasn't my pre-season predictions, but I think second, Liverpool second, Man City third, and Arsenal.
If he finishes second, it would be crazy. And so, from a favourites perspective, anyway, no, I don't think Liverpool should be favourites. If we're still top at the end of October, maybe you start considering, whoa, okay, we're a bit good. And we are looking decent. I'm going to be most interested because the first big team that we're going to play is you. And so I'm really interested to see, not the result of the game, how we perform against you. Because I don't know if you do this now. When Liverpool were like going for titles under Klopp, I judged teams on how they presented themselves against us. So if they had to go and they were good. So say Wolves played us last season, season 4, season 4, whatever, and they came and had a go. They might lose. But if they had a go, I'd be like, that's a good team because they think they can have a go at us.
Yeah.
And that's a good mentality. Whereas if we played Burnley and they sat 900 men behind the ball, I was like, Burnley aren't good. And that's how I judge teams moving forward. And I imagine that you'll probably maybe you'll do that the same as an Arsenal fan, that if you got beaten by somebody but they played terribly, you'd be like, that's not a good club, they just beat us. Right?
Yeah. You're right with your October run-in. You've got Bologna at home in the Champs, but then it's Crystal Palace away. Really, I don't know what's happened to them this season. You've got Liverpool at home to Chelsea, Leipzig away Liverpool on the 20th, Leipzig on the 23rd, Arsenal on the 27th. Then you've got a Carabao League Cup against Brighton on the 29th. And then you've got Brighton, which notoriously is very difficult for the Liverpool side. You've got Brighton on the 2nd of November. So by the end of the 2nd of November, and then you've got Villa straight after that with a tie against Bayer Leverkusen in there. So actually quite a challenging run. So by the end of the Villa match, I think if you're there, then it is going to be a tight title race, because you would have played Chelsea, you would have played Villa, you would have played Arsenal. You still obviously got to play Man City, and you got to play Brighton, which is a bogey side for Liverpool as well. So definitely, yeah, I agree, Leon. I think you need to be judged end of October, beginning of November.
Yeah, people get carried away with things. Like, we need to see what happens after that difficult run. So after Villa, I would say, which is it like the first week in November, I think, that we play them? Or was it
9th, Saturday the 9th of November, so second weekend.
Just over it. So the second weekend of November is when I will be able to sort of see, okay, we might be in the title race here. Right now, I'm not saying we're not. I'm not downplaying it. Like, I would sit here and go, Liverpool top the league. Like, but what's the point? Like, because it's 6 games in and we played no one.
Yeah.
Like, so I actually think that after those games, if we're still top, we're in it. I really believe then we're in it. And if we're second or third, but within 3 points, we've got a chance. We're not in it, but we've got a chance of being in it. Then it depends on what happens in December, because it's a notoriously difficult period. And like you said, playing Brighton, we tend to always play Everton around Christmas. So
no, good shout with December, because Wednesday the 27th of November you welcome Real Madrid, and then just because the Premier League seem to hate Arsenal and Liverpool, the Sunday the 1st of December you've got Man City. So, and then you're away to Newcastle, and then you're away to Everton. So nice little run in December as well. So challenging times ahead. But I think I only asked that question because you're top of the league. But I agree with you, Leon. It needs to be a longer period. But you asked me that question. I'm like, Arsenal, yeah, champions. We've won the league already.
Yeah, blinded by the lights, isn't it, boss?
But yeah, so how do you think Slot's settled in? I know you mentioned about the slight change in style, and I think what highlight that would be is the fact that Gravenberch is one of your best players at the moment, and under Klopp you would never have a defensively minded midfielder as your key player. It would be always the forward. So Leon, how do you think Arnie's been? How do you think Arnie's settled in?
Well, how do I think he's settled in? I think pretty much it's gone better than I hoped for. Like, much, much better than even people are going on about. Like, because lest we forget, most managers, especially new managers, even starting at the beginning of the season after taking over this, and everybody remembers the narrative before Slot took charge. Swept, gone. See you later. It was like, the whole, he's the better bald Dutch manager or whatever. Well, he's actually just going to be a fake. He's just like Ten Hag. It's just this. Well, no manager does well when they come in. Look at the last 10, 12 years. Look what's happened at Man United. Look what's happened at Arsenal. Look what's happened at Chelsea. And now he's won 5 out of 6 games in the Premier League, and we're top of the league. And fun enough, no one's revisited those comments.
Nah. No, I think that was a lot of narrative at the beginning, right? About Slot and being able to replicate. I do think Ange, when he first came in, won a lot of his first 5 or 6 games, and then not to say that that's going to happen to Liverpool at all, but just to remind you about Ange. But they still love Ange. They love Ange. So
the difference is we've got a Dutch manager who at least won stuff in a league where he wasn't the best club, but he was one of the top clubs, right?
Yeah.
And has gone everywhere and been the best club in the league, and then won stuff with the best team in the league. That's by far the best team in the league until he came to England. And then, they still beat Man United, so I suppose
Yeah,
But Slot's done
yeah.
well, man. Old Arnie, he's done
Yeah,
very, very
no, it's good. It's good that Liverpool carried on. For a point of view, just because I dislike Man City so much, it's good that there is not just a Man City and one other challenging for the title every season. It's nice to have that kind of company at the top, mate, as
That's
well.
what I wanted. And the
Um,
whole time when I was a Liverpool fan, while Klopp was there, I was just like, I just want one of you boys to also come up so that there's another team that can put pressure on Man City and us to sort of like beat them.
yeah, you didn't have that, mate. You had the end days of Wenger and the Emery days. You had the Chelsea being Chelsea. You had Man United being Man United. And there was no real other thing. But yes, it makes for a really interesting start to the title race. I think you start the race at the beginning of the season, so start of it. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Slot matches up against the more tactical managers that have the team that can that are on par with Liverpool. I think Slot's matched up against maybe some tactical managers, but they just haven't had the team to deal with Liverpool's firepower or Liverpool's defence.
Yeah, don't have the same quality. So you're right. Yeah, I agree. And that's what I think too.
Yeah. One final question I wanted just from the game, because I found it quite strange, because obviously I dip in and out of Liverpool, and I won't profess to be like an expert on Liverpool, but there's starting to become a bit of a narrative about I'm going to butcher his name, Slobozai, um, about whether he's kind of fitting into his new role, and is he being as effective as he was like last season. He was heralded as a great signing. Really kind of changed Liverpool's midfield when he came in. But yeah, talk to me about that, Leon. What are you hearing? Why do you think the narrative's starting to be formed?
So there's a couple of things. One is, what sort of player is Dom Szoboszlai? And he is technical but tall and big and physical and got an engine on him. Slot has just picked that his 10 right now will do that. And I don't know what his 10 will do in the future, because I'm kind of hoping that Dom will do more than everybody's saying. He needs to get like 10 goals, 10 assists, like 20 goal contributions in the Premier League. And we were talking about some of this before, and I was like, what other 10s actually do that aside from like Kevin De Bruyne and Odegaard? Like none. So, well, I mean, if you consider Cole Palmer a 10, he's like a cheat code as a 10, because he's basically,
Yeah, he's annoyingly good.
I know. So I think the narrative is being spun at the moment that he's just like this physical dude who just runs about like a Henderson. And actually, I love Hendo, like a Henderson in a 10. And if I'm honest with you, I think that he's providing more than what people see. And he does have the quality to do it. Admittedly, he missed a gilt-edged open goal, like against Wolves. So I can understand why the narrative is starting to happen, because people are like,
Yeah.
he's not scoring, he's not assisting, what's he doing? But he's not been as influential in that sense as he was last season. But he still likes to smash a 30-yarder in every now and then. And so, we'll see. I think it's one of those ones that's like, time will tell. Why are people spinning these weird narratives 6 games into the season? It's like, he hasn't even had a chance to like get up and running yet. He's a midfielder. Like, again, I don't know if you know this off the top of your head. How many goal contributions, despite his injury, has Odegaard had this season?
Oh, this season, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, mate. But yeah,
You know what I mean?
he only had 4 games.
So it's like, just because everyone's not Haaland.
Yeah, I think the Man City effect of the last like 5 or 6 seasons, it's now the standard of a 10 is to get double figures in both assists and goals. That's the problem. And also, like for me, and I'm looking from an outsider, it doesn't seem that's the way Liverpool build up their attacks. Like in terms of their final passing, it seems like it's Slobosai will be that person that assists the assister, kind of thing. Like that's how it seems like me, because you're very width focused. Getting it out to those wingers. Either Salah's cutting in and scoring, or Diaz is cutting in and scoring, or Jota's assisting. So it was just strange to kind of hear those kind of things, because he was very well thought of. So I don't know why that kind of came about.
No, you're absolutely right. We go through the centre to the wide, and so he's more of a facilitator, and he's the pre-assist, if you will. Yeah, you're not wrong. I hadn't really thought about it from that perspective, boss, and you're absolutely right, and that's why he's so good. So I don't know. I don't like these narratives that are like everybody has to be Pele basically in their position. It's like sometimes people just do a different role.
Yeah. It's just one of those ones that it was a strange one for me. Like from like dipping in and out of Liverpool to see kind of why are they turning? Why are they turning on Solskjaer? It didn't seem. I couldn't understand it myself, so I thought I'd ask the question.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I suppose. The last thing to wrap up everything, boss, is that Gravenberch got man of the match, didn't he? And
he did
man of the match performance.
Much to the annoyance of Canate, which was a very funny interview.
It was, and it's quite funny because I watched the game and didn't watch any of the interviews, and for everybody else who's listening, like Boss had to say, "Did you see the Canate comment?" And I was like, "No," and then it's brilliant, it's hilarious. He's just like Gary Neville.
Yeah,
it's such a rude boy thing to do. It's so funny. I respect him for that. I respect that. Why aren't I man of the match? I'm the best. Good. Think like that, mate. That's champion.
That's the mentality you need, mate. That's the mentality you need. The Liverpool Wolves game wasn't exactly it's not going to be in the highlights reel for maybe the goal. The Wolves goal might be in the bloopers reel for the Premier League this season. But no, it was good. But that's I think that's kind of everything we wanted to cover that session. Leon, you got any final thoughts on the Liverpool game or Liverpool so far this season?
No, nothing really, except for people need to just ease up on thinking that like we're title contenders just because we're top of the league after 6 games playing absolutely no one. It makes no sense.
Judge Liverpool mid December, and I think everyone will be in a nice position to see where the dust has settled at that point. But guys, thank you so much for joining us for the Liverpool review on the Red Cartel podcast. As always, as we love, and we've started to get a lot of comments on our other videos, which is absolutely great. We do try and reply to any comments that you put on there. If you disagree with anything that we've said, you want to add anything, let us know. It'd be great. If you have any questions for Leon about Liverpool, or you have any questions for me about Arsenal, ask away, and we'll give our very, very uneducated opinions on them as well. So, guys, it's been a pleasure from me and from Leon. We look forward to seeing you next week for the next podcast.
See you later.
Bye all.